What's this? What in the world? Oh my gosh. That thing is wild. Well, hey folks, my name is Brad. If you happen to be new to my videos, I explore the mountains of Vermont searching for treasure with my metal detector. And today, well, truth be told, it's already the end of the day. A viewer reached out to me and invited me to this incredible property of over 1,000 acres. It's basically an entire Vermont mountain, which is covered with ruins of old farms from the 1700s and the 1800s. I showed up this morning about 9 o'clock and spent the next 6 hours hiking from one to the next, metal detecting as I went. And after about 8 cellar holes, I ended up with 2 buttons. It certainly seems like over the last 50 years or so, one or many people have metal detected here in the past, and there isn't much left. So started taking the walk of shame back to my car and noticed this peculiar collection of trees here behind me sitting up on a knoll. I decided to investigate, turned on my metal detector, and the ground here is absolutely full of stuff. I dug one thing up and it's an old pewter button from the 1700s, so there's no telling what else could be in the ground here. Now, if this happens to be one of the first of my videos that you've seen, I publish one of these every single Friday, so if you like what you see here today, consider hitting that subscribe button. You can just come on back next Friday. You can get that metal detector turned back on and see what might be hiding in the ground here. Got a really pretty loud, but small 70 right here. Seems shallow maybe. Wow. Okay. Well, that is a great sign. Well, it isn't much. It's just a tiny little fragment of an old spoon. But because of what it's made out of, it is an incredible sign for potentially what's to come at this place. It's made out of lead pewter, which dates it 100% to the 1700s, just about as old as we can get up here in the mountains of Vermont. Now, we find lead pewter spoons like this all the time at places this old, but this one in particular actually has the stamp of the maker. Fortunately, there's no way we're ever going to be able to read it. As you can see, the lead pewter itself is very, very crumbly. It gets this slate gray color with a lighter tan coating on the outside, which it gets after being in the ground for a while. And unfortunately, these just crumble apart. But like I said, an amazing sign. I'm sure there's going to be more pewter spoons out here, but hopefully a few more things too. All right, let's get our metal detector turned back on and find out. 75. Wow. What in the world is this? So these crumbly pewter buttons that I'm finding at this place are always incredibly exciting to find because some of the earliest military buttons from the Revolutionary War and even the French and Indian War were made out of this pewter material in exactly the same way as these. And I'm always praying that the front is going to have some kind of military insignia on it. This one has a crazy design that is civilian, I'm fairly confident, but I don't think I've ever seen one quite like this. Absolutely gorgeous. I believe it's floral, but there is so much design going on. One of the nicest I think I've ever found as far as civilian pewter buttons go. You can imagine an entire garment made with these old buttons. In the 1700s, folks walking around right here wearing that, looking real sharp. Incredible find. You know, I've already found a little handful of these pewter buttons. Hopefully there's more to find, and I'll always have my fingers crossed that we're gonna find one of these old military buttons, the USA buttons or something even more obscure. Let's see what we can find. Well, I just found a very old button right here. Right next to it, we have a very similar target, slightly higher though. We'll see. What's this? What in the world? Oh my gosh. That thing is wild. Man, how awesome is this thing? You know, my metal detector, I have it tuned so that it generally doesn't even beep on iron. But every once in a while, it tricks the metal detector. I dig it up, but in this case, I couldn't be more excited. Look at this thing. Now, at first glance, it seems like a little hatchet head. But in fact, as we look at the eye back here, which it is broken, but we can tell that it's actually perpendicular to what we would expect. And the blade itself has this gentle curve. So this isn't a hatchet head, it's actually an adze head. Now an adze you wouldn't use to, chop your firewood or make kindling. This is actually a woodworking tool for carving out or shaping. Now we could speculate all day about what they were using this woodworking tool for here in the mountains of Vermont in the 1700s, but I have a hypothesis that you let me know if this seems plausible. Because I've been finding all of this old 1700 stuff in this very small area in very close proximity to a foundation hole from the 1800s, I'm speculating whether this may or may not be what we call a starter home. So you can imagine folks show up here in the mountains of Vermont, it's all forest, they need to build their farm, they need to clear cut, they need to grow crops. Oftentimes they would build a very small structure to live in while they do all of that other stuff, and I think that might be what this is. No foundation, no stacked stone, just a whole lot of stuff from the 1700s and a woodworking tool, which might have built the farm. Let me know what you think about that idea. I'm gonna get that metal detector turned back on, see what else we can find here. Maybe more proof of the starter home. We'll see. '76. Wow. Look at that. I don't think I've ever seen one that shape. So this is, well, I'll let you guess. Anybody know? This is what we call the Chape to a colonial shoe buckle, 1700s. For sure, very early 1800s possibly, but so this would have been on a shoe buckle, worn on the shoes of folks living out here, and a little strap of leather would have gone through this and it would have hooked in to tighten up their shoe just like shoelaces. This is an awesome find. Hopefully there's a frame out here somewhere. Like I said, I've never seen one quite so square like that before. Really interesting. And shallow too. Awesome. This target is just a 60, pretty low. Let's see. Ooh, there might be something on the front. Well, it might have just happened. I just found another one of these old pewter buttons. This one looks nothing like that civilian one I found earlier. I have a pretty good feeling that this one might be very old military. As we look at it here, there seems to be a design in the middle which I can't really make out. You can see as I spray it, it is just crumbling apart. But the thing that has me excited is this line of dots. The first thing that popped in my head is the crown on a Royal Provincials button, which also has these small dots on it. Now, the Royal Provincials were actually a loyalist group during the Revolutionary War, which is actually a part of history I feel like I didn't learn about in school. But when the Revolutionary War broke out, there was a very large portion of the population that lived here that did not want a new country, the United States. They just wanted to stay loyal to the British crown, and the Royal Provincials were a group of them that fought for Britain. Whatever it is, it certainly seems like it might be a pewter military button, which, regardless of not being able to tell exactly what it is, it has me very excited to have both found it and the possibility that there might be more out here, hopefully in better condition. You know, I've been finding a lot of buttons today, and every single one of them could be something very, very special. Let's see if we can find a few more.
on a little bit of a hill here, but we have a beautiful 86. Sounds really, really good. What could that be? What is this? Is this wood?
All right, this is an absolutely incredible find for two reasons. And the first reason is just because of what it is. It's a colonial knee buckle, right? So during the 1700s, gentlemen oftentimes would wear these short pants with a small buckle at that bottom hem. But as we look at it here, we can see there's a beautiful decoration around the outside. On the back, we have an intact chape, which is a very different design than that chape that we found earlier, which went to a shoe buckle. But the thing that has me so excited about this is that what I initially thought was some bark from a root or something is actually fabric. You can see here this kind of lighter colored material is probably cotton, I would guess. I mean, I'm speechless. It's a piece of fabric from a garment from the 1700s. Still intact after being in the ground hundreds of years. Now, this buckle is made out of a brass or a bronze. You can see the green patina on it, which means there's copper in this. And copper, of course, is a natural antimicrobial, which has protected this fabric in the ground from decomposing for hundreds of years. Absolutely incredible. I'll probably never find another one like it.
I've got a pretty loud, seemingly large 81. Let's see. Oh, no way. Awesome.
All right, well, I'm sure that you recognize this object, right? It's pretty similar to the ones that we use today, but it's actually kind of funny because when we're metal detecting places from the 1700s or even the 1800s, we find things all the time which are hard to recognize because they're so antiquated. We don't use them today in the 2000s. Things like the shoe buckles and the knee buckles or whale oil lamp parts. It's hard to tell what they are without some previous knowledge, right? But this, of course, is a piece of a pair of scissors. I love finding things like this, things that are so unchanged, right? Somebody from the 1700s here were using these scissors just like we would use scissors today. Technology which just works, right? Now this one, for some reason, totally exploded. We only have about a quarter of it left. You know, we can use our imaginations for why it looks this way. Maybe they were using it in a way that it wasn't designed, cutting something other than fabric. But in any case, I love finding these everyday items, especially ones that, you know, we still use today. Just a quarter of a pair of scissors. Maybe we'll find more of it today, we'll see.
Got an 82 right here. Sounds really loud and shallow, but I can tell from right there, I think the bedrock is right below, so we don't have to dig very far. Looks like we have probably a button. To the back. Whoa! Holy mackerel. So this is 1700s for sure to go along with all the other buttons we're finding here, but you can see the gold plating on this is still incredibly intact. It's like this basket weave pattern, which is a pretty common pattern. I found a bunch of these in the past, but never with gold plating on them still. That's incredible. Well, this is an amazing target. We're in an amazing place. Let's see what it is. Oh, it's a little disc. Is it a button? Where is it? Now there's an image on it, so I'm going to guess that it's a coin. Wow.
Well, I was wondering when this was going to happen. By the amount of stuff I've been finding from the 1700s here, it was just a matter of time before I found an old coin. And what we have here is a copper, what I'm guessing is a halfpenny. As we get it cleaned off here, we can see George III. You can see this Roman numeral 3 up here in the top right-hand corner. But as we flip this over, we do not see Britannia like we typically see on the British coins. This is actually a harp. Now, unfortunately, the coin is not in good enough condition to see the text here, but it would say Hibernia above the harp because this is actually an Irish halfpenny. These go from 1766 to 1782. Now, I don't think we're ever going to read the date off of this one, unfortunately, but I would guess, based on the amount of pewter items and all of the buttons, it's probably towards the earlier part of that date range. You know, I have found dozens and dozens and dozens and dozens of the British halfpennies, but I can count on one hand the amount of Hibernias that I have found. For me, at least, here in the mountains, they're quite a bit more rare. Now, you can imagine if this was a starter home for the farm over that way, they would have just arrived. They were working hard every day trying to get the farm up and running. Probably would have been pretty devastating to lose any money whatsoever. I'm sorry they lost it, but I'm grateful to find it. And who knows, maybe there'll be more here. All right, folks, well, unfortunately, it is the end of the day. I was only able to spend about an hour and a half or 2 hours here actually finding stuff because I spent the bulk of the day, well, hiking and not finding stuff. I'm so glad I took the time to investigate this kind of strange knoll with these old trees because I found so many amazing old colonial treasures, a handful of old buttons. You know, we got the shoe buckle pieces, we got a knee buckle, and of course, an old Irish halfpenny from the 1700s. Couldn't be more excited, couldn't be more thankful to the property owner who invited me here today. And I think that it might be worth another trip back. Let me know what you think about that. I hope you enjoyed today's video. Thank you again for watching, and hopefully you'll join me next Friday for another new adventure somewhere up here in the mountains of Vermont.